The 2023 NFL Draft is right around the corner, and the Sportsocracy is your home for all your Draftmas season content.
I'm dreaming of a slotty Draftmas.
At ESPN Draft Nerd, Jeremy Greene sets us forward with all of the best picks.
Just like the ones I used to know.
All these things that you could stow away under your tree for a very happy new year.
Atlanta Falcons fans, you're going to like what you're about to get. I guarantee it.
The Atlanta Falcons pick at number 8 in the 2023 NFL Draft. And they'll go with
Jalen Carter, defensive tackle out of Georgia.
he should not fall any farther than this in the draft, in my opinion.
No, and you call me a conspiracy theorist. You do whatever you want to. I have a little theory. The Atlanta Falcons just signed Calais Campbell. That signing doesn't make a lot of sense to me. This is not a team that's ready to compete, and Calais Campbell's 38 years old. You know what that tells me? That tells me that they feel really sure that Jalen Carter is going to fall in their laps, and that's going to be the guy that he follows around like a puppy dog that lost its ball. Because that's the consummate pro that has – I mean, he's one of the greatest defensive tackles that ever lived. Giant human. And he can teach and when I say giant human, I mean he's a great leader of men. That's what I've always been told about Calais Campbell. The only drawback on Jalen Carter, and I don't love the Warren Sapp comparisons just because they went to the same high school. That's really, and they both play defensive tackle. That's lazy to me because that's not the kind of player he is. The biggest drawback on him are personality red flags. I don't think anybody that I know of had him any lower than 3 in terms of overall talent coming into this. Then he had the reckless driving and the player died earlier in the year. And it really opened up a can of worms of, man, this kid's got a lot of growing up to do. And now we've gotten to a point that some teams don't even have him on the board. Atlanta is going to have a really good read here because of how close they are to Georgia. You have area scouts that really crush the general vicinity around you. And this is just one of those times it makes too much sense. Is defensive tackle a huge need for Atlanta now with Calais Campbell? No, it's not.
Oh, I mean, that's just a one-year fix, though.
That is a one-year fix.
That's the thing. Atlanta's looking for the future.
Absolutely.
And if you bring
and as well you should.
Right, and if you bring in Calais Campbell to put Jalen under his wing and teach him the ropes of how to be a professional, then the 1-year deal was worth it.
And that's I'm looking at this team going, is this your biggest need? No. I don't love David Onyemata as much as some others do. I mean, I think he's fine. I don't necessarily think that means, well, we're done. We got 38-year-old Calais Campbell and David Onyemata. We're good. Yeah, I don't see that. I feel like you need a pass rusher. This is the best pass rusher on the board because Tyree Wilson's gone, Will Anderson's gone. And then there's a big-ass drop-off to me of natural pass rushers. And I'm not going to lie. I like Caden Ellis quite a bit.
He had a hell of a season last year.
He did.
He have 9 sacks.
He did, and I think you add another piece here with Jalen Carter, and now the pass rush is getting better. I feel like at corner you're good enough. I mean, I want to add another player, which I'll get to momentarily, but I think Jalen Carter's his free fall stops with the Atlanta Falcons.
All right, so that's the 8th pick overall in the draft. How about number 45 in the second round?
Tyreek Stevenson, cornerback out of Miami. There has been some hype of him going in the first round, and I don't necessarily see that. I mean, I understand what there is to like, because I like him a great deal myself. He's height, weight, speed's good. 6 foot, 200 pounds, ran about a 4.45. He's really, really good in coverage. Here's my problem with him. He does absolutely nothing for you against the run. Nothing. He's not a good tackler. If it's just, hey, can you cover a guy? Yeah, he can do that. There are times that he does everything right and then blows the tackle. And that bothers me. So he's really going to need to be coached up on, and a lot of it's technique. It's not a lack of effort or anything like that. Sometimes his eye discipline is not as good as I would like it to be.
Say, is it like a situational awareness kind of a thing? He just doesn't have the feel for that.
Well, there's times he just doesn't wrap up. So he's been busted on double moves.
Hey, here's another one of those opportunities to learn from a veteran. Who else did Atlanta just sign? Jesse Bates.
There you go.
I think he could be, they play different positions, but I think he could be a hell of a leader
and I would agree with
and
that.
a teacher when it comes to tackling.
The raw talent here, though, is – I mean, he's one of the best cover guys in this draft. He's right there with Christian Gonzalez and Devin Witherspoon in terms of just raw cover guy. It's just you've got to teach him – you got to round off those rough edges. So taking a player like that right here I think would be tremendous for the Atlanta Falcons.
Pairing him with A.J. Terrell, that's –
Casey Hayward goes back to the slot, which is where he belongs.
Yeah, that's a hell of a solution to the secondary. At number 76 in the third round.
And I'm sure somebody somewhere is going, but who is Desmond Ridder going to throw to? Well, I didn't have you taking a receiver at 8 because there's really not one there that I think is worth quite that pick with Jalen Carter still on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And in the second round, you had just missed a run. There is a player that I know has already been in the building with the Falcons. They were just hammered on at the Combine and at the Senior Bowl. And his name is Jaden Reed from Michigan State. At the Senior Bowl, he was completely uncoverable. Uncoverable. He was destroying people in one-on-ones. And it really got me to go back and watch the tape, and I realized that he kind of has that Josh Palmer problem. I mean, you remember how much I liked Josh Palmer coming in the draft.
Oh, yeah.
And how much I've loved him since. I mean, top 10 receiver in the NFL. If I keep saying it, eventually it'll be true. He doesn't have – the height, weight, speed is not what this kid does. He's just a technician, running routes, getting off the line, deceiving you with his eyes, using his feet to get corners off balance. He's just really difficult to defend. And I think having him with Kyle Pitts is a kid that can play in the slot and just consistently get open. This is a player that, to me, Desmond Ridder could trust. Biggest drawback on him was some drops, but when I went back and watched that and actually watched the film as opposed to – and really dug in on it as opposed to just watching it, a lot of times those throws were not as –
I was going to say –
it wasn't necessarily a drop. I mean, yes, it was a catchable ball. It hit him in the hands, but there were other things there.
But had he had a better quarterback than
no doubt
Peyton Thorne throwing to him, he'd been fine.
A lot of times those weren't on the numbers. It was you're outside of the catch radius, or, and this is what I saw a lot of, what was coming. All right, don't just watch the end of the play. Look what it was thrown into. And there were times that I'm not so sure he didn't drop passes just to ensure that he lived to see the next day. I love this kid. And frankly, I think he should go higher than this, but with him on the board, Atlanta would just jump for joy. And I know they like him.
All right, so defensive tackle, corner, and a wide receiver for the Atlanta Falcons in their 3 picks in the first 3 rounds of the 2023 NFL Draft.
If you like these picks, if you hate these picks, if you want to call me a big mulleted dipshit, feel free to do that in the comments. If there's a player you'd like to know how they fit with the Atlanta Falcons, throw that out there too. I answer all of those as quickly as I can, and you might be featured in our next Falcons video, which should be coming out next week.
Don't forget to like the video, share it out with your friends. An Atlanta Falcons fan, share that out with them as well. See what they think. Obviously, we will take all criticisms and all attaboys as well here in the Sportsocracy. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get all of our team-by-team content throughout the Draftmas season.